Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the annual general meeting of the WTRA Association. Just before we get underway, I want to indicate that our Secretary Treasurer, Jackie Hilchuk, is recording this meeting. The purpose of recording is to be able to do minutes accurately. So just want everyone to know that it is being recorded, and are there any objections to that? Ryan Dickner, who's the road chair for White Truck, is taking attendance, and people have just come in. So if you're not recognizable, you may just ask who you are too. So we can So good morning and welcome. We have a lovely day, and I wish everyone happy summer and safe summer season on Hawaii. This annual general meeting will follow a pretty traditional pattern for these meetings. We have established that we do have a quorum. There are 22 members here, and 20 is the quorum amount. And we'll do it an approval of the minutes, and we'll have a financial report and approval of that from Jackie, the road report from Ryan, then a review of the all-season status, which we voted on last year. And then nomination for the board of directors and other business, and then we'll adjourn. So I'd like to move through this meeting fairly efficiently, but of course it is an open membership meeting of the members, so you're free to question anything, raise any issues you'd like, particularly under other business. So with that, we'll ask for, Jackie distributed the minutes fairly recently to all members. You've had a chance to review them. So what I'd like is for someone to move the adoption of the minutes of the 2021 meeting, which was held virtually. Anybody willing to do that?
So moved.
And seconded. Sorry,
Richard.
Familiar. Yeah, Richard and Don Abel. Somebody needs to write this down.
Oh, you got that,
Yeah, okay.
my bad.
Okay, the camera's got the evidence there. All right, that's great.
Maybe then just say your name for the camera.
Yeah,
When you vote.
good point.
Whatever this is.
Because although it's a camera, Jackie says it's just a soundtrack, really, because she's going to put that up on the web later on. Thank you very much. Any comments on the minutes of last year? Good. Seeing none, we'll move on to the point number 3, the financial report and approval. So, Jackie, we look forward to your report.
Hi, everybody. Okay, just some news. The White Trail Road Association corporate taxes were filed from 2017 to 2020 by our accountant, Frank Jasek. The books are reconciled with the bank account up to April 2022. The liability insurance has been paid for the 2022-2023 term. Fokker Construction is paid up to date. I will leave a check at the Lions Camp today for $150 donation. I'm recording the meeting and we'll put up on YouTube, but I will, in my editing software, blur everybody's faces out, so, and it'll be an unlisted video. So nobody can watch it unless they have the link. And Mrs. Shadwick's cottage has sold, but we don't have the new people information yet. Okay. Financial statement 2021, did everybody have a chance to have a look, because I sent those out? Okay. So the gross revenue billed was $23,600. Cost of goods sold to maintain the summer road, membership fees and subcontractors was $15,200. We had a gross profit of $8,500. After bank charges and liability insurance, we had a net profit of $7,093. I have created new accounts on the financials so to separate out the income for summer and winter billing and expense accounts, so next year it will be easier to read. Financial statement 2022, the bank balance right now is $11,027. We have paid the liability insurance and all winter expenses up to date. We currently have $6,000 outstanding in accounts receivable. The net profit as of May 31st was $4,452. Current accounts receivable. We have $6,000 outstanding. $2,900 is 61 to 90 days overdue. $3,000 is 91 days and over. Of those numbers, one is a member who owes $552 and refuses to pay for no apparent reason. $625 is carried forward from 2016 and is most likely bad debt. And Mrs. Shadwick estate owes $766, which I doubt we will collect. Bad debt is around $1,800. The balance, excuse me, the balance at $4,000 is most likely collectible in due course. And that's it. Do you have any questions? Sorry, my voice is cracking because I'm very nervous today. I don't know why.
You're doing a fine job.
That's right. Great. Well, if you don't have any questions for me, I'll take my seat.
I have a question, and it's always a troublesome one for organizations such as ours, and that is, we do have a member of this organization who's refused to pay for a couple of years because of philosophical differences with some of the decisions that have been made. And road associations across Ontario, in fact across the country, have a tradition of failing because of a small group of people who object to policies taken, and that builds and builds until the organization collapses. And I don't think any of us sitting in this room would be very happy if White Trail Road Association were to collapse, because we've got several kilometers of excellent road that would soon become chaotic, if not impassable. So my question is, what do we do with a landholder who's obligated to pay but refuses to? Are there any suggestions?
It's Richard Kennedy, and I'd like to make a comment about that, because we went through this a number of years ago by Patricia Thompson.
Right.
And she went through, and I'm sure there's records that you people have that would show her process. She went to small claims court. The ruling was that at the end of the season, the road maintenance portion of the our expenses could be totaled up, then allocated as normal, and whatever that road maintenance costs, we could bill them, and if they don't, then we could take that to small claims court.
Right, so you're suggesting a small.
I'm just saying that was the process that occurred.
Right.
So that is the one option. It is only for road maintenance itself. It doesn't cover the insurance, it doesn't cover any other ancillary expenses, purely the maintenance of the road.
Okay, good. Any other suggestions?
Yeah, Gary goes. I would only suggest that a lien is probably the only way to go. The lien property, they can't sell it until they discharge the lien. To do that, they have to pay it. I think the justification for the amount owing is definitely gonna clear.
And in the process of a lien, just might be, if in the process of a lien, they have 45 days to defend the lien after to file a defense. If they don't, then you automatically claim for judgment. So again, will they go through the process if it's $700? But it does then get attached to title. And even if it doesn't get unregistered, they have to unregister it. It sits there and it becomes sticky on sale.
I think we need to investigate if that's a possibility for us, because I heard that we as an organization can't put a lien on someone's property, but
Yeah, because the rules of a lien are basically it has to be physical work done to the
Yeah.
property. So again,
the construction lien.
is road maintenance considered physical? So that's where it gets sticky. So again, your option of small claims court up to 25,000 is probably your better option from a legality standpoint.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan and Fred in the past, that we're not able to place liens as an organization.
So even if maintenance, if lack of maintenance over time meant that property was unusable or inaccessible.
Again, the road for everybody becomes unusable. So that would be the question. I think you really have a hard time with that.
And do we know if they use it in winter or off season or?
Yes, they do. This particular party does.
Can use that as a snow plow?
Make it uncomfortable.
As a punishment, yes. Yeah.
Ask the plows to
The
use
best
them
seats
as.
in the house.
There's maybe a softer technique of publicizing the refusal to pay that member. Anybody think that might be appropriate?
I think that's appropriate.
I was going to make a motion to block the member from being able to vote at the meeting today because according to our bylaws, you have to be a member in good standing to be able to do that. So,
The member is not present here today at the meeting. Okay, well, thank you very much for your input. Yes.
Well, can we take a vote on that? Not
So
suggesting.
that would require a formal motion. Would you like to make the motion?
Yes.
Just again, state your name and state the motion so we.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Penny. I'm at what's traditionally known as the Cole Cottage. Married to a Cole. So I move that we make public the name of the person or the name of the owners of the cottage that have refused to pay a road fee.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder for the motion?
Corey.
Yes, Corby, fine. All right, is there any further discussion? Yes.
Richard Kennedy, what kind of public notice are you going to do? Right, I mean, is it going to be on our website, which nobody watches, what's that? Or is it going to be on a Facebook page, or what would be the
Wow.
plan as far as making it public?
I was thinking of that as the motion was made, actually. By the way, we no longer have the website. It wasn't being used by anybody, so we've taken it down. So we do have emails for everybody. We could send an email notice to all members. Just so that there's sort of some public shaming and so on.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on the motion? All right, now, since we're recording this orally, we're gonna have to, I guess we can state it. Those in favor of the motion, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We'll do it in hands up, vigorously.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay, those opposed to the motion? 1, 2, so 2 opposed.
Oh, I opposed as well.
Okay, 3. All right, well, the motion carries then, so we will, the executive will construct an email and send it to the membership. Okay, Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the road report from the road chair, and that's over to Ryan.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to in-person meetings. Hopefully everyone's enjoying this more than the Zoom meetings we used to have. So this year, white trout, I would say, became accessible sometime in mid-March when the ice was finally off the road. Right now, it's in very good shape. Other years, there's been a bit of washout, especially on the hills, but this year it's in pretty good shape. Aside from, I think we've had some heavy rains recently where, we had some runoff from that. So, but the road is going to be graded. Everything's been arranged, and that should be occurring next week. It was supposed to be this week, but something came up, so it should be next week. So currently, though, there was a number of potholes that were filled by the cottagers. I don't know who they are, so thank you very much to whoever has been doing that. We were able to organize a spring cleanup of the road, and that was primarily to get some of the leaves on the sides out of the way for when the grader comes. So we were able to do that a couple weeks ago, and we had 12 members come out, so thank you very much to those 12 members. A little bit of culvert clearing was done at that time too, because there's some that just seem to fill up with sand from the ditches and the roads, so tackled a little bit of that. The rest will be tackled at the summer worker meetings. The only reminder, as I make every year, is watch the roads in the spring with the heavy loads and whatnot, just because they're so soft that they really get beat up quite a bit. So right now I think they're pretty firm. I think the half loads are off on the main road, so that's a pretty good indication that they're firmed up now. Just to quickly review, last year for the maintenance of the road, we did 10 loads of material and a grading. Then in midsummer, during the worker bee, we were able to get some grading done. One of our members, Don Abel, has a nice Kubota that he brought over and helped us out with some grading. So we were going to hire the contractor to do that, but graciously Don was able to tackle some of that washboard that we get midsummer. So hopefully we can get your help again this year. It'd be excellent. So for this year, since everything's in pretty good shape and we just want to keep up the maintenance, we have ordered grading and 10 loads of material again. And that's a pretty good number to do what we need to do with the road. And if he recommends more, we'll take that into consideration, just get some more material. But that's sort of the plan going forward for general maintenance. I still haven't done this yet, but Mike Beadle had offered to get some culvert signs that we buy through him. So may still do that, and that's just to make sure we know where all the culverts are, A, to maintain them, and B, to avoid running over them in a negative way. Doing something bad to them. So a few years ago we came up with, there was a request to have a 5-year plan for special projects and whatnot with the organization. So I think we're in about year 3 now, and we are collecting money, as you heard from Jackie. There's quite a bit in the bank, but there's a reason for that. We have a reserve fund that we want to maintain. That we had just set a target of about $2,000, and that's just if something disastrous happened that we need some money right now, rather than having a special assessment done where we come asking for money. We can just tackle the trees fall down, or a washout happens, or something like that. And then we're also saving some money for special projects where we're going to incur some heavier costs like ditching or something, culvert replacement or whatnot. So we do have some money being saved up that we'll eventually have to do something with when the 5-year plan sort of comes to an end and would renew itself. So that's still in the works. We did use some of that money, I should mention, because we had a bunch of trees cut down. There was a lot of dead beech that you could see. There were some that were brought to our attention that looked precarious, like they could fall anytime. And so we took down about 20 trees that we identified that could be a problem. We did that over a couple of years, so that used a bit of that special fund. I think we're good for now. It came up last year, and I'll just mention it again. If there is a tree that comes down across the road, when I come up on Friday nights, you can usually see if something's come down and somebody on the road has tackled it. There's always some, leaves and evidence. But if it comes down and you're stuck and you can't clear it yourself, it's just a quick call over to Lock, and I think they can respond pretty quick about coming out and helping us out. So, that's Lock Tree Service. Everyone probably sees them when they're driving on Quadville Lake Road. So that's who you can call. So maybe have that phone number handy. Otherwise, you can call me and I'll try to deal with it. That means you need my number. So, it's usually in the emails, I think, that I send it. So, fees. Part of that 5-year plan was to incrementally raise fees every once in a while. We didn't do it this year, but now with this so-called inflationary period that we seem to be in, a lot of fees have gone up. Our contractor fees have gone up. So I think we'll have a good look at the, what we're trying to achieve, and if necessary, it'll be next year and then maybe the year after. And they were only going to go up by about $25 every year. I think that's what we're going to target. So we'll look at that and we'll see what it looks like for next year and the year after. This year's worker bee, let's start with last year's worker bee. That was on July 10th, and it was a great success. Lots of people came out, so it's working really well. It's still a good program. Already, when you're coming down the road, especially on the B road, the sight lines are just really filling in with all the trees. So that's like the number one target area. The road will probably be in good shape because it'll only been graded a few weeks before the work will be this year. So there'll be some things that we want to tackle. But anyway, it should be on July 9th this year. It's a Saturday. I'll put the sign up soon. Again, if we could have a bunch of people come out, the more the merrier. The more we get done, the quicker we get done, sort of thing. So I know everyone's really eager to do this, so hope to see all you and your family there. And really that's it. It'll be I should mention it'll be a 9:30 start. We usually go to about 11:30 by the time we get the whole thing done. So. But otherwise, that's all I was really going to talk about. I usually quickly open up the floor because I'm always looking for your opinion on what else we could be doing. If you see something, obviously let me know. There's been people that have asked about, in the past they've asked about road widening and stuff like that. It's a pretty wide road. You can get 2 cars down, especially now when we leaf blow the sides. You really can see that it's a wide road. There's maybe a couple spots that look narrower, but I've talked to the contractor Bacher, and he says it's probably A, going to be expensive, and B, it's a challenge because you make the road really wide. It's hard to get water off the road, and water is the number one thing that ruins the road. So I don't think it's being recommended that we do anything like that. So, but I'm going to stop talking, and if anyone has anything to mention to me or an idea, let's hear. Hi.
I have 2 questions really. One is around the culvert sign. So we're on the end of Summit Trail.
Yes.
And we have a culvert that in fact is being replaced this year. And road work is in fact being done on Summit Trail to improve it this year, hopefully in the next week or 2. And I wonder if, when you order culvert signs, you would order an extra one for us. And-
Okay.
Because I think that culvert gets mashed a fair amount of the time. The larger culvert hopefully will be less mashable, so I would like to ask that. The other question was, with respect to what is designated part of the road association, so I was surprised that none of Summit Trail was considered part of the work of the road association, and I'm a little unclear about why that is. There's 7 cottages
Yes,
off that road, each one of which has its own,
yes.
sometimes lengthy and hilly driveway.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering how that decisions were made about what constitutes White Trout Road for the purposes of the association, and 2, whether there's any flexibility in extending that definition of what's part of the road and what isn't.
Okay. Well, I can answer the first part, and then the second part, I guess, we'll have to see what we think here. But the first part is that when the organization drew up its bylaws, there was certain definition of what White Trout Road was, and it's basically from Quagga Lake Road, and then A Road goes all the way to the split with Meeting Trail. Okay, that's designated as A, and then B was from that point down to Summit where it splits off, and then it continued down Summit to, and there's an actual civic marker that's listed there in the bylaws, which is somewhere at the top of the hill.
You want me to read it?
Go for it, yeah.
This is from the bylaw. Road B is that portion of White Trout Drive commencing at the junction of Meeting Trail and ending at the 911 identifier number, the 911 identifier number 1641. And also that portion of Summit Drive that commences at the junction of White Trout Drive and ends near the highest point of Summit Drive at the fork in the road beside the 911 identifier 1072. That's our bylaw, doesn't mean it can't be amended, but that's how it exists right now.
The Richard Kennedy here. The road allowance ends at Ryan Coombs' basically the third property of it would be going right down to Coombs because that's where the road allowance goes to.
Okay.
And then it goes from there right into the river.
I see, yeah. And that's the
That's the legal
township,
road allowance.
township road allowance.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I've seen that on the map.
So just to let you know, that's the technical road allowance area.
But otherwise, what this is saying is that if, beyond that, it would be like a private feeder road. And we have several private feeder roads that we don't maintain either. Chancellor, Shoreline, and then of course Meeting Trail has its own, another organization.
Just as you mentioned the separation, I would suggest it's more of an accounting issue.
Yeah.
That, I mean, we spend so much a year as a collective group on the road.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna vary depending on the weather, depending on thunderstorms, all sorts of things that come along. And you adjust your budget on an annualized basis. And that may require adjustment of fees or a building of the reserve fund in a year that the costs go down.
Yeah.
But I would think, just looking forward, it would be I think a more business-like approach. Not that we want to become a formalized business, I'm not suggesting that, but it's tough enough, Jackie, doing all of the books and keeping it all organized, but I'm wondering if it isn't a way to, it's not gonna satisfy the person who doesn't want to pay, that's a separate issue. But I think from the perspective of looking forward, this is how much it costs us to maintain this road on an annualized basis. That's the only reason I proposed it. Or,
Okay.
All right, any further discussion on the motion to amalgamate the fees? Yes.
First, maybe we
Your
should have
name
a
is,
My name is Sebastian, Vanessa. Maybe we should vote again and see if everybody has agreed that we want to go 4 seasons or 3 seasons. It seems like there's still a discontent about that. And if we pass that again, when case closed, doing voted twice. So before we end up with the amalgamating of fees, that's pretty much saying that, yeah, we are gonna be 4 season roads, and yeah, so that will be my motion.
So Don, are you willing to suspend your
Yes.
motion until the other is taken care of? Joan raised a point that while we do have a quorum for this meeting and it's official and all that good stuff, there are lots of members not here today. Is there any concern about that? We are official, we met the quorum requirements. Do I hear any opposition to holding a re-vote on this matter?
Do you have proxies for some?
Well, there are a few proxies, yes. Does someone want to make a motion to revisit this issue of all season versus summer season? Julie, you want to make the motion?
I'd like to suggest that we make this road a seasonal road rather than an all-season.
Okay, seconder for the motion?
Paul Watson.
What's your name?
Paul Watson.
Paul Watson.
Paul Watson.
Paul Watson, okay, great. All right, any discussion on the motion? So let's be clear, the motion is to change it back to a seasonal road from all seasonal.
So what's that going to mean in terms of our fees?
Well, we'll have to make appropriate adjustments. We'll go back to charging just for the grading and culvert work and tree clearing and so on, and that those who do use the road in the wintertime and want to take advantage of snow plowing will pay separate fees. Well, that's the motion. Hearing no, let's call for the motion. Those in favor of reverting back to a seasonal road from all season, please raise your hands.
Counting 4.
Yeah, 2 votes?
Yeah, 2 different ones.
Okay.
Yes, they're separate
Okay.
members. And Jack is here.
So it's 6
Six
against,
for
or
the
4 the
motion.
motion.
Those opposed to the motion?
Only one vote over there, hey. We're one.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And what about you? Are you 1 or 2 votes?
They're 1 vote.
1 vote, okay, so 14. And then there will be, okay, so there's 15 plus the proxies. And the proxies are down there.
Do you have the
Yeah.
proxies from?
So, Karina's actual as a proxy, and she proved Peter Sean. Peter Sean's a proxy, proved you. So that's 2, and Don Early is Gary.
Yeah.
How did you vote?
Not to change.
Opposed.
Not, yeah, so
So it's 15
that's 3,
and
18 plus 3 is 18.
So 18 against.
Right.
And Paul Watson
Are
has
you
the
writing
vote
this
from
down?
Bill, is that correct?
If you're doing for this, I know it's a meeting trail, I don't know what it is.
I haven't writing anything down.
Well, let's
18 against.
say it so it's recorded.
I
You'd
know,
be in
but I
favor,
think
I see
I
the same, so.
We're the only ones down there that.
No, it's 14,
But I've been recording this.
that's David.
You know, like,
I may have to call upon you guys
18 against and
for
5
your
for.
memories of the
18
meeting.
against and 5
Because I know
for.
that
I don't know.
the camera went off at one point, I don't know when.
So the results of the vote,
So 18 against it and 5 for it.
It doesn't matter.
Well, how many abstentions? None, right, no abstentions. All right, the motion's defeated, so there seems to be a fairly strong feeling amongst those of us here at this formal annual general meeting, that we maintain the status as an all-season road. Now I'd like to reintroduce Don Abel's motion for having a single membership fee. Single?
What?
Combined amalgamated fee.
That it covers the maintenance of the road annual,
Right.
and it's not split up between
That's
winter and
That's right.
And just for clarity, that, just to sum up what Ryan was saying before, that doesn't necessarily determine the mechanics of, it's not saying equal for every property, it's just saying a single maintenance, just for
That's
clarity.
right.
The mechanism or
It's
mechanics
a
to
good
be
point,
determined,
because, that's right, the total fee depends on where you live.
distance or whatever factors.
And,
sorry, and I would add, a potential is frequency of utilization could be a component based, and that's like, again, it's one of these, are we trusting, or like, is it a trust factor? And everybody's bought in, so I'd throw it out as just, I don't know if it's, who would be determining the mechanics is sort of the
So
question.
it'd be one bill a year,
I get
just
that.
one invoice, right? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, that'd make it a lot easier.
So accounting becomes a lot easier.
Accounting's easier, and I'm just asking the question of the mechanics of determining the charge, which would need to be figured out after, and totally fine.
Yeah, that would be easier, like, that's just the Ryan did, yeah, and I think it would be easier your work as well, right? Because only one bill, and we just twice, like, who paid, who hasn't paid, so it would be more like easier for you.
Savings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
okay, let's, time's moving on, yes.
Just a note. I agree with, I'm not sure who said that, probably Ryan, that it's not clear how it's gonna work. The winter part is not determined. We will vote for, even if we're kind of a little bit abstentious, because we don't understand how it's gonna work. But it will make your life easier for sure.
Well, and
Yeah.
It's just a winter fee or something, it's just adding the two together.
Yeah.
If the mechanics are already there, you just add them together.
I-
It's simple.
the problem is, we don't know ahead of time exactly what Bacher will charge for snow plowing.
Yes, that's the
So
problem.
as Ryan's saying, we'll make an estimate of it, and if we're a little bit off, our reserve fund can handle it, or if we're way off, we'll do an assessment. So it's a budgeting, as stated earlier, it's really an accounting issue.
So
And as
estimate and
Mr.
then
Mayor
adjustment.
said, we're not talking big
Just,
bucks.
I'm sure the organization, was used to a single fee, and it was very stable all the time. Now I'm just saying it could be yearly fluctuations based on what we have to charge. So just, it's no longer, $200 or whatever it is, it'll be, it could be moving up and down.
Okay, we haven't yet, so who are in favor of Mr. Abel's motion? Well, that's-
I will.
Do they take turns voting?
No, 16 and your proxy.
I'm 16, 17.
3 proxies.
Now we know we are one vote.
I don't invite Chris because I don't want him to disagree with me. So I get my vote too.
How many opposed to the motion?
Don't tell him I said that.
Opposed to the motion?
Are
Abstentions?
you gonna do it individually or?
Okay, no opposition. So that motion is carried.
It gets, very-
All right, let's move on to nomination of board of directors. We've been serving for quite a while. Who here would like to take our roles?
I did that earlier in the meeting.
Well, unless I die during the year, I guess I'll consider carrying on for another year.
John, the Constitution doesn't allow dying.
Oh, well, maybe test it. Items of other business. So the minutes can just record that the executive will carry on. There is a stipulation in the bylaw, you can only serve 3 years. Do you want to make a motion to overrule that? Other business, what other items of business would any member like to raise at this time? Well, yes.
Perhaps more signals regarding the speed limits. We're seeing a lot of cars going quite fast. And yeah, maybe more signals will deter that.
Do we have speed limits? I mean, we're not.
Just when you come in.
We're not
Well,
a formal road.
every so often, there's a 20 km/h
Yeah.
sign. You'd like to see more?
Yeah.
No one's gonna obey those signs anyway.
It's a shame.
This is the better the road, the better.
Brian,
More
don't
potholes.
grade the road, that'll slow them down.
Don't do such a good job then.
So last weekend, as an example, or 2 weekends ago, there's two. You know where the little, I don't even know what it is, a little pond lake on one of the curves. So there's
Clear
that,
lake?
yeah, there's that campground.
Yeah.
So there's always cars that are kind of parked in on the side, and a couple weeks ago they were camping there. I don't know if they were friends, family, us, randos.
It's crown land.
That
You
is?
can't stop.
No, fair. But the parking and the parking too. So
Yeah, that's our.
I was just trying to wonder like what that was. And so
Aren't they still
It's been
there?
going on forever.
yeah,
It's just that weekend.
Yeah.
It was a long weekend.
yeah, people are camping. I don't know. I'm thinking that my kids want to camp.
It's an access road and it's crown land, they're entitled to.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's good.
Okay.
As long as they're not blocking.
Yeah, I was just curious because, and in the winter I know sometimes people will park there because they don't want to drive down or something. It feels.
I had considered, should we put a donation box there with a little note
Yeah.
that says, hey, welcome to
I'll keep the road clear.
and this helps with our maintenance fees, but I haven't done that.
I'll build one. Yeah. We'll build one. Let's build one in your shed. I'll do it.
Did your question about, point about the speed limit signs get answered or not? I'm not clear.
Not yet, but, so I don't know where those have been around probably for a long time,
Close to 20 years.
20 years. So we'd have to acquire them, but B, are people even going to follow it anyway?
It's just a nice reminder, especially like if there's people are coming to camp
Yeah.
that, they just are not considered.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, time is moving on. Are there other items of other business? Anything at all relevant to White Trout Road? Okay, well, seeing none, then I will call for adjournment. Who propose adjournment of this meeting?
Say,
Yeah. Corby,
Corby,
seconded
so-
by Craig.
sure.
And anyone opposed? Okay, so we've adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. Have a safe, happy
Thank you.
summer on the lake. We look forward to seeing everyone around.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Mention meeting trail at top.
Yeah, that's really too bad, I don't know
Meeting
what's
trails, annual general meetings immediately follow.